waiting for you.
Oh, well, we're good to go.
Yep.
Oh, all right. Okay, hey guys, welcome to the Techpoint Africa Podcast. My name is Emmanuel, and what I have in my mind this week, or so far so good, is something called the scandal of selectivity. So, where journalists practice what we call selective reporting. So, when something happens, we pick and choose those good and little pieces that we are interested in. And I think it's a scandal every journalist commits, but how impactful that scandal is going to be an issue. For instance, we're going to talk about Elon Musk's Twitter becoming X-Corp, basically disappearing. But as an African journalist, I'm already searching, okay, how does this relate to the African context? How does it relate to what I want to do? And I think this also goes the other way around, right? The audience, the businesses that are reading Techpoint or listening to our podcast, they'll be like, oh, why do you need to talk about this? Talk about this good sides, this good sides. Don't talk about the bad sides. When you want to talk about the bad sides, do it very tastefully. Arrange the word. Don't just put naked Indomie inside. Just add all the spices and ingredients. So yeah, Twitter is no longer existing. But the question I want to ask, and my fellow host here today, Nifemi and Bolu, thank you very much for coming to the podcast this morning.
Hi.
It's good to be here.
So I think the biggest issue for me as an African is the fact that, okay, never have I been more conscious of the fact that as an African, I'm a second-class citizen on the internet with Elon Musk's Twitter. This is why I'm saying so.
Is this a new realization?
No,
you are coming to accept it?
It's in my face every day.
Okay.
So, I mean, there are some days where you want to, like, what you notice is, okay, you want to watch a football highlights and you can't watch it because it's not available in your location. Or you want to watch anime. You want to actually pay for it, not even pirate. If I want to pirate, I can go to all those sites that will destroy your life with ads. But if I want to watch anime, I can't. I want to watch Family Guy. I basically can't. Okay, of course, there are licensing and blah, 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 blah. But
even some movies that are just premiered, that just premiered on Netflix might not be available for you in your location.
Licensing
you have to
issues.
use VPN.
Yeah, licensing issues, right? They cannot deliver it. But on a social media platform where, payments platform to PayPal, you want to use PayPal, you can't receive money. All those are the things that come once in a while. But for Twitter, first of all, I don't know if Twitter Blue is available in Nigeria yet. Can you pay for Twitter Blue in Nigeria?
Yes, I
The
keep
Nigerian
seeing.
card, debit card, or what?
I keep seeing the Twitter. Let me just.
I
take a
can't.
look.
I can't.
You've tried paying and
It
it's
said
didn't work.
coming soon.
Oh,
We are working.
the icon is just there, but
Yes.
you don't have it yet.
Don't have it yet. And Elon Musk is clearly saying we are going to play favoritism to those who are using Twitter Blue. Now, there's also the company side of things. I'm seeing some Nigerian companies paying for the Twitter subscription to verify organization.
The New York, what's it called? Delaware.
Finish your sentence now.
They are probably not incorporated. They are probably dual incorporated in Africa and incorporated in the US. That's why they're able to get it.
It doesn't even matter, Seth. As long as you have the money, you will be able to do it. Like if I log on to Twitter with a VPN right now, I'll be able to subscribe to Twitter Blue.
Yeah.
So I guess wherever you are, as long as you have the money, you can subscribe. Want $1,000 a month and for a company, and you have to pay extra. So those are. I don't care what Elon Musk calls the company, but the fact that
I think
a lot of things are messed up, and even with the mess, you can't even participate in the mess as an African.
okay. I don't know. You said this more in our face. I think it has been in our face for a long time. Take, for instance, the big tech companies. The reason they have interest in Africa is because they believe that maybe in another decade or 2 decades or 5 decades, Africa will be the next big market. They're probably not getting any ad revenue or considerable ad revenue from Africa.
That's another point.
But then they are bringing Google, which it was recently that Google launched Equano subsea cable in Lagos. Yeah, you often see initiatives from Google, from Facebook or Meta in Africa, not because they feel that there's a market or they rate us that much. They just believe that this market is so untapped that if we invest in this market, in the future, when it becomes fully exposed, we eat the fruit. So I don't think there's a big deal about it. So don't feel bad.
Okay, so
I'm not saying your pain is not valid.
So to
Valid.
watch
I
ordinary
feel
football
you.
highlights from Chelsea match, I
feel
can't
you.
watch
I
because
understand.
licensing. I don't get that,
I
honestly.
understand what you're going through.
Just the way I don't get why FIFA gets to get all the real names of players and PES. Okay, it's fine, it's fine. So, just to clarify, last week we talked about South African taxi Wi-Fi, and we looked at that news with the perspective of Nigerians, which again we're committing the scandal of selective reporting.
Yeah.
We're approaching stories based on our own perceived distance. So, South Africa taxi is what buses downfall are in Nigeria. So
Lagos.
in Lagos, so
Because we don't
public
have that for in
buses.
other parts of Nigeria.
Okay, thank you, Nifemi. So yeah, what public buses are in Nigeria and most of that. So I'm going to blame South Africa. Like, why call buses taxis? I'm going to blame them, but of course,
But that's not what Hollywood-
Chingos doing
that's
mistake
not what-
collecting one now. You want to okay.
That's what Hollywood has taught us here.
no taxi. Even when you are doing okay, so I saw
yeah.
I saw this video from this lecturer that was talking about relativity in African languages, right? They're teaching you A for apple. Apple is not something that is readily grown in Nigeria.
Wait for Agbado.
Right? But that is the point. Well, why call taxis? Why call buses taxis?
taxis.
Is something, but all the questions I was asking that day starts to make sense, right? Because I felt like having public Wi-Fi in a taxi, which is car,
It's not like mass transit.
yeah, it
Can
didn't
carry
really
a
make
maximum
sense.
of a few people.
Yeah, but with a bus, it makes more sense. So yeah, thanks for bearing with us. And someone corrected us in the comments, and shout out to him. And of course, yeah, I'm waiting for the next episode that Ogheneruemu will be here, because we got confirmation that it sounds
Like an AI.
like an AI.
It needs a level of emotions. Like,
All right. So let's move to another story that some people in the ecosystem feel we shouldn't have done, which is Flutterwave. I mean, we got questions about, okay, what is the value in writing that kind of story? But the value is clear, right? The audience that we are speaking to, the people generally, a lot of people had their accounts frozen. If
Yes.
nothing happened, why freeze
Will be
accounts
frozen, yeah.
if nothing happened, right? So we're hearing there's another
Yeah.
could be
There could be another. There could
2,
have been
3 more. 7.
two. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So, just to do a quick recap, on March 5, we reported a possible Flutterwave breach, right, of around 2.9 billion naira. So, what happened then was we got access to some court documents that showed Flutterwave trying to get, a court order to get some accounts frozen. Those accounts were beneficiaries of the 2.9 billion naira, which in the court documents they claim was illegally transferred from Flutterwave accounts, right? So, following up with the story after that, we spoke to some of the people, the owners of those accounts that were frozen, and they confirmed that they told us rather that it was possible that more breaches might have happened at Flutterwave. And then when we dug in deeper, we saw that some people received, someone received 200 million naira sent from Flutterwave. Another person received 250 million naira also sent from Flutterwave.
that is not
And
their money.
yes, they did business, right? They are crypto traders. They sold USDT, got naira. So after that transaction, their accounts were frozen. Accounts of people they sent money to were also frozen, right? So, I mean, when you think about it, if I get money from someone, right, it it's not over the limit. It's not over my account limit. It's just, say I get 50,000 naira from Emmanuel, for example, and my account gets frozen. That means there's something wrong on Emmanuel's end. And then from that last breach we reported, banks sent emails to those people saying, Flutterwave asked us to freeze your account because the origin of the money you got is not, let me just put it locally, it's not pure, right?
It's sketchy.
Exactly. So they sent emails. This time around, I saw screenshots. People sent me screenshots of their banks telling them there's something wrong with the source of your money. But funny enough, the beneficiary of the 200 million naira, his bank, because his accounts got frozen a few days after the transactions. Normally, I spoke to one of our in-house lawyers here, and she said, normally to get a court order to get an account frozen, it's really not that quick. If the lawyer is really fast, works fast, it should take almost a week, right? But his account was frozen like 2 days after. His bank didn't even tell him why it was frozen. But then another source sent me some screenshots of Nibs telling a particular bank, I can't remember the name of the bank now, it's a microfinance bank. Nibs told the bank that, okay, this account owner restricts all like further transactions with this account. Flutterwave said restrict it, right? Flutterwave was boldly written in the screenshot of the email. And yes, so I mean, it's obvious, right, that something is definitely wrong. Well, this money is moving from Flutterwave to other accounts, and Flutterwave is saying this money that is coming from us, there's something wrong with it. Hold
that person.
Please hold that person.
So
are investigations going on? Because you can't just freeze.
Yes, because those sources also told me that Flutterwave got reported to the police, right, in Yaba, Panti Yaba to be precise, and I think they are the ones doing the investigation. But then some of these beneficiaries of all these monies I've been calling, they're saying, okay, I did my business, I don't know, because, and there's this recurring theme about these things, that they all sold USDT to a Chinese customer. They all have Chinese customers. The first person in the first from the first breach we talked about sold to a Chinese customer. He received 1.6 billion naira, right? I think he sold around I'm not precisely sure now, $2 or $3 million worth of USDT, right? And the other two also sold to a Chinese. I actually spoke to one of the beneficiaries of the beneficiary of the 200 million naira, and he told me, I only sold USDT to a Chinese customer. I've known this customer for a while. I've been working with him. Yep, and the customer has been sending from Flutterwave. So it raises even more question that, okay, yes, this looks like a breach. But then if this person has been using Flutterwave for a long time, is that this person has been breaching Flutterwave for this long? These guys are telling me this customer has been sending them money. They've been doing business for some. Okay, one person said the person that introduced him to that Chinese customer has been doing business with that Chinese customer for close to 4 years.
Right. Because when peer-to-peer was still the main thing in crypto trading.
Is it that
it's mostly Chinese people that you interact with?
And then it's also important to talk about Flutterwave side of the story. I reached out to them and they said there's no breach. We only noticed some account owners have not enabled some security settings. We are under it. We've sorted everything, and then there was another comment which seemed like Flutterwave knows something is happening, but they don't want to talk. So they told me that there was a report by Tech about that said that one of the beneficiaries said it is possible that Flutterwave could be considering forfeiting the monies lost, right? And then Flutterwave told me about forfeiture, right? I didn't even ask that. They told me that about the forfeiture of
Flutterwave.
Yes,
Okay.
about the forfeiture of whatever monies, that they can't say anything about that at the moment.
You didn't ask them about
I
forfeiture?
I did not. And then they said they can't talk about that at the moment, but they are in talks with I think something about security operatives
Probably.
trying to get whoever is behind whatever. Not the talk was not straight.
Yeah, so two things are in my mind right
Yeah.
now. But let me address the forfeiture that they mentioned that you didn't ask them. They probably copied and pasted the response that they gave someone else. They just assumed that you have the same set of questions. They didn't want to even.
Yeah.
That's probably what happened.
Exactly.
I can't confirm that, but now I want to try and give them a benefit of the doubt. If it was not the breach,
Okay.
what happened? What are the other possibilities? Because what they are saying is that denying it's a breach, but they are not telling us exactly what happened.
Exactly.
So what could have happened? Now, there's something Ogheneruemu wrote in one of his previous newsletters. I just stumbled on it, talking about about the whole infiltration of
Fintechs.
fintech companies. Something he calls race condition. Say the favorite gig of scammers troubling fintechs. So that's a vulnerability that most fintechs are facing. And I don't know if that's an issue. Could this be something we explore? Maybe, it's very, very weird, right? Flutterwave did not come to this game yesterday. Right? We've said, the media has said hack, we've said breach. But I'm probably thinking, could there be something else responsible? And Ogheneruemu's newsletter, I was forwarded to you, mentioned something about race conditions. So when many how did they even explain itself? When multiple transactions are initiated simultaneously, leading to delays in processing and a window of opportunity for scammers to exploit.
Interesting.
So it's like you overload the system.
Okay.
And with that overload, there's a delay in transactions, and there's now a window for scammers to exploit the system. Something called that race condition.
Risk condition.
So I think this is going to be a valid
something we should look into.
that we should look into and say, okay, what could be happening with Flutterwave? Who else could it be happening to that no one is talking about? Because every year we hear banks getting defrauded, we hear fintechs getting losing money to fraud, but we don't know who is doing it, how they are doing it, and we keep having this surface level narrative. So I think it's time for us to dig deeper into this issue.
Yeah.
What really happened at Flutterwave if it wasn't a breach? Because the breach is the easiest narrative.
Exactly. So it's I mean, that's a very interesting way to look at it, because something is definitely wrong, and I'm also leaning to the fact that it might not be as simple as what we think it is. It might not just be somebody who went in to steal money.
Yeah,
it might be something beyond. I'm thinking something even beyond Africa, is even beyond Nigeria.
with Chinese connection.
I'm telling you.
Okay, and it's not my mouth
Because
yet.
that's a recurring theme, right?
Okay. You didn't hear it from here. But yeah, if you are following the tech space, I think you should follow Ogheneruemu. He's the founder of Jobberman, Odd School, and some other startups who go host Technology Museums is the name of the newsletter. It's not sponsored by them, but I think it's a useful resource. Of course, alongside FinTech Today, Techpoint Digest, and
The Workaholic.
Those are very, very useful resources. And obviously, we'll be hearing more of such things. And let's come back to one of Africa's public companies that has been facing issues. Before the podcast, you said they were the one that launched the door for layoffs in Africa.
Yeah, like as far back as May last year, 2022.
Before even big tech started,
But we've not talked about what's the name of the company.
Swvl. Oh, yes.
Spelled SWVL.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but I don't want us to spend too much time on it, but what is the issue that is facing them right now?
It's facing them, or they are facing this issue.
Okay. what issue are they facing?
So, if you remember that they were listed on Nasdaq last year, April. Yeah. April. So since then, there have been announcements that the valuation keeps decreasing, and it has gotten to a point where Nasdaq is like, we are giving you 180 days is 6.
Don't worry.
My math is scared.
The math is not massive.
You want someone from Swvl to start attacking you?
No,
Why are you laughing?
no.
I'm sorry, we laugh a lot on this podcast.
So sorry.
So
So they've been giving 6 months. Like 6 months, get your house in order. Make sure you are able to raise your valuation to match what a publicly held company should actually be worth, right? And that is, they're telling them to raise it above $15 million. If not, I think they will be delisted from Nasdaq. And it sounds sad because for you to get into a reputable capital market in the US like Nasdaq as an African founded company, startup rather, it's quite sad. And then I went to see how Swvl actually got IPO'd last year, and I recall that they IPO'd as a SPAC company. A SPAC is like
special
purpose acquisition company. Yes, so they get IPO'd in an unconventional way. Like they don't like check their valuation like you traditionally
they don't do all the paperwork.
They don't do all the paperwork.
Yes, paperwork.
Because you do it by acquiring a lot of companies under you and you enter the market. So I think that is. So I'm guessing maybe Swvl didn't actually reveal how much they were worth as of the time they IPO'd. And it's sad because if this happens, if we don't know how bad it can get, right? Because it was just 1 month after they IPO'd, they laid off 400 employees, right? It sounded strange then that's a lot, just 1 month after that. So that means they've been shaky even before now that the economic recession is even recession. You get, and if that is just the threat you are looking for, that is not even the only thing that is happening. They are even having personnel issues of people on their board of directors stepping down. For instance, now the 2 board members have stepped down. They not even stepped down, they resigned. Right, and the guy Yusuf Salem, that has been like the public-facing person for Swvl at the moment, is still there. No, he has also resigned. Interestingly, he has also resigned because he has been the one doing all the public-facing. He has also resigned, and for now, the guy that is the CFO for Middle East, who is Abdullah Mansour, will now be in charge for this period. So for people that are even at the top to be resigning, there are a lot of conflicts happening within the company. So there are talks that maybe they will be acquired. Just imagine an acquirer getting acquired.
It reminds me of Paxful.
Paxful?
Yeah.
So you feel this might go the way of Paxful?
Well, not necessarily. I just feel there's a lot of inside
fights and all of that. Okay, if it's an inside fight, then it's probably going to get worse. If it's not an inside fight, and
it's just
an economic issue, probably they will pivot to something else and do something else. But
do you think they'll get delisted too?
It's possible.
If
the valuation drops beyond,
they might have to like withdraw operations from the many markets that they are in. They expanded to Europe through acquisition, Middle East through acquisition. Where else did they go? They were a lot of places.
It's okay.
Well, I'm hoping that Argentina, Chile, where else?
Is it Chile?
Turkey.
Yes.
It's Chile.
Yes, then there is Turkey.
Okay, before they come and drag.
Yes, and so they've expanded to many markets through acquisition. So maybe a good place to start is to withdraw
trim
operations from those ones, focus on Africa, and let's see where they go from there. Actually, Swvl came out of nowhere and was in our faces, if you remember.
Yeah.
Nobody saw it come. They just, and we're raising our stuff.
We are there today.
I think they are still
I won't say they came out of nowhere. They're probably just not in the face of the media.
sorry, okay, true.
Probably doing things codedly. I mean, if you could say the thing for money points, they were under the radar for a very long time.
True, though.
So yeah, okay. Thank you for that. I'm getting depressed with the whole sordid stories, and yeah, gracious, there was no good news this week.
Well, I'm in a bad mood. So.
Okay. So you can see the selective reporting in action. Okay.
Scandal with
Reporting based on mood.
Well, yeah, I mean, there were some good things that happened this week. At the very least, Kenya is launching its own satellite.
Nice.
Beyond the whole risk conditions, beyond the whole public markets brouhaha, that silver lining is a very, very important one. But it's making me look at, okay, what's Africa's place in the whole space exploration? I mean, when there was space wars in communist era, US, Russia, China, nobody even okay, let me not even say anything. But yeah, we are bringing someone from behind the scenes. She has a lot of backstory about Nigeria's and Africa's space efforts to look at Kenya's satellite launch. So, Onome, thank you for taking time out from
Yeah, it's good to see you on the camera.
Good to be dragging you here. You didn't come here on Women's Day, International Women's Day. You didn't come here whatever other days.
Must you share me in the outside? Like,
Yes,
must you do
it's a
that?
must.
Yes.
That's what we are here for.
It's beyond people. It's young people that will do things like that to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You see now your people they do person. Yeah, but what's happening with Kenya? Just give us a lowdown and
So yeah, basically Kenya is launching its first satellite. It has never launched a satellite before. So it's launching it.
Really?
Yes, never.
really. I mean, Nigeria, even with all the wahala, has at least one or two.
Some are redundant, but let's not go there.
Oh,
I will go there.
We'll go there.
Well,
But yeah,
continue
basically
this.
Kenya has launched its first satellite. Satellite is called Taifa-1. It means one nation or one Kenya in Swahili.
Okay.
And so it's an Earth observation satellite. Basically, it's a satellite that's supposed to observe Earth and send back information back to wherever it is supposed to transmit information. It's supposed to help them with getting information on their land. Currently, they're suffering a drought, so it will help them with all of that. It will help them with mapping out things. Like there's a lot of things that it's going to help in agriculture. It's going to help in let's see, so that I know that I'm not saying rubbish. It's going to help them in agriculture, environmental issues, and all of that.
Climate change
And all of
Okay.
that.
Dope.
Cool.
That's basically what.
So, but I'm actually surprised that this is the first time they are launching an Earth observation. Is this like a recurring trend for African countries?
So currently, African countries only have, I think, 50 satellites.
How many countries are in Africa?
54.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's
So that is the thing. It's not all African countries.
Oh, okay.
So at least 13 African countries have 48 satellites. That's what.
Oh.
That's where it's getting. So that's only 13 have 48. So that's
Only 13 have 48. So
Yes.
I'm guessing at least half of African countries don't have satellites. At the very least, half. So, but even those that have, how functional are
so a lot of them are.
Nigeria is a case study.
So Nigeria has one functional one.
Okay.
But according to the DG of Nasdaq, he says it is functioning by grace. So
they? It's functioning by grace.
Those were his words.
It's not by
that is his words. Those
not
are his
by
words. There's no. It was one that said it. It's not me that said it. He said it will not come from. It's one that
Glory to
said.
God.
No. You
Yeah.
say horses are drawn for battle, but
So yeah, it's functioning by grace. That is what he said.
wow.
So
Like even the functioning one is
yes.
functioning by
So
grace.
it was supposed to expire like a few years ago, but only God knows that it is still alive.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really, really crazy. So no silver lining
So for them, for Kenya, it's a good thing because, like I said, they are facing a drought. So it's something that will be helpful for them to solve all those problems and all of that. But there's another interesting thing that I want to mention is that there's no African satellites. All those 48, all those 50 satellites, none of them have been launched on African soil.
Okay.
Yes.
So they were launched
Just
from
gets
rockets
interesting
in
and
Europe.
interesting.
Yes. And the funny thing is that Africa has had 8 rocket launch sites before. It gets more interesting. None of them were made by the African countries themselves. So,
Maybe we're not
it's
just
like-
noticing. Maybe.
So like none of them, not a single one. We had in Egypt, Kenya even had one. That one was found by an Italian person. I think it packed up in
I think we need to do like a quick article, like quick facts on space. Maybe say space exploration in Africa, or maybe just something we did with who has what, how many what, just something quick.
Okay. Who will do it?
I'll do it. I'll do the others.
I've gotten the one from last week. But
Which one is that?
Lagos State Road.
Oh yes. No, it's not forgotten. It's actually
Someone
still
actually responded.
Yeah.
on the YouTube.
On YouTube.
Yeah,
What do you
on
say?
YouTube. They said I can't remember, but it gave an estimate of 75 million to something like that.
Interesting. I have to check that out. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So that's thanks for that. I thought it was good news, but it depressed me even more. Thank you. But no time.
I mean,
good
it's
news
still
for
good news
them,
for
it's still
Kenya.
good
We
news.
should only hope that Kenya doesn't end up like,
Yeah.
the
No,
others.
what you guys are saying right now is like saying, oh, Nigeria finally has a car.
There's no movie.
No, the car, like, we just got our first car. Like, when
Oh,
Fumila Yorason
Oh,
got
okay.
car, as first woman with a car, or whatever. Sorry, my history memory is a bit foggy, but for me, that's how it feels, right? Are we actually building these cars from scratch in Nigeria? Are we, beyond assembly, the ones that are trying to build these cars from scratch, how much support are we even offering them?
Yeah.
Let me give you a silver lining.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
so this satellite was designed by Kenyan engineers. It was designed by the Kenyan engineers.
Kenyan engineers, like
Yes.
Kenyan,
Yes,
black Kenyan
black
engineers.
Kenyan engineers.
All right.
Yes,
Emmanuel.
that's one silver lining.
I was
Silver lining. So
No,
just,
No, I don't want
just
to
that
be
Okay.
okay.
just like they were not the one that manufactured it,
but at least it was designed.
it was
well.
designed by
Wait, when you say
them.
design, do you mean wireframe and Figma?
No. I mean, in
no,
engineering,
no.
it's
Like
more.
AutoCAD? No, I'm sorry.
I'm not an engineer, but
No.
okay. Let's even say it's like wireframes and like.
No. I'm not trying to slice them or anything. I want to make sure that they actually got the concept, because let's take Apple for instance. Most of their phones are not manufactured by Apple. They
Yeah.
do the R&D, they do the designs for the phone and outsource it to a manufacturing
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
Is that what
Yeah,
happened?
basically that's what happened.
Makes sense. Perfect.
Dope.
I'm very happy about that. But yeah, they came up with the concept for the satellite, even though it wasn't manufactured in Africa. That's fine. If we can, I think if Africa can invest in R&D, we probably don't really need to be manufacturing these things ourselves. But of course, where we
Yes, exactly. I mean, we don't. I mean, just look at the Apple example. They are not doing it, but it's still brilliant.
They do
They do
some
the research.
manufacturing,
Yeah.
or not.
I mean, the most important thing, which is they're cheap. They don't make it
No,
themselves.
Yeah.
But it's still one of the best on the market.
So yeah, thank you for the civil, and I'm really, really happy about that. And I want to be seeing more of that, right? Across not just satellites, rockets, cars. I mean, check out our feature of Kiftab. They build defense equipment for governments and security agencies across the globe. That's a really, really crazy company.
A Nigerian company.
Yeah, Nigerian company. They are the one coming up with the concept. Again, it's not really designed in Nigeria, but they're the ones that come up with the designs and the concepts for the products. And there are there's a lot of gap in the talent market for people like this. And trust me, you will remember this podcast episode. I wanted to inspire you to do really, really awesome stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, you don't even need to remember me. Just remember Techpoint and you'll be fine. So don't forget our newsletters, Techpoint Digest, FinTech Today, Workaholic, and the Lagos Startup Expo. If you're solving a problem for the Nigerian market, for the West African market, you should be at the Lagos Startup Expo, because people looking for the solutions to that problem will be coming. I don't need to say more. Go to LagosStartupExpo.com and watch out for all our marketing videos that are coming. Right? Thank you. So see you guys in the next one. Bells and whistles. Share, like, subscribe, and you know what to do. Audio guys.
Yeah, you can find us on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Hyatt Radio, and anywhere else you get your podcast.
Every time we do this, I'm just like, God, what is this button?
Like you like it, right?
See, let's leave it. Let's leave it.
All right, bye-bye, people.
Bye.